Well, let's skip over to your daddy because he knows about what's happening with these horse races. Let's find out from him what's happening.
Sure. So we just had the Belmont Stakes. Mo Dongle, I believe is how Dongel is the horse that won the race. And so as I just read an article about this, what's really interesting, this is the 154th Belmont event. And so, you know, I'm big into numbers, so let's figure out what the 154 in Hebrew means. It means the father is gathering, or the father is the gatherer, is what 154 means. So there's a word in Hebrew that means father is gatherer. And so what ultimately what's happening, he's gathering in his bride, he's gathering in those that are called and ready, okay?
Yeah.
And so that's what we're seeing with this. Then we're also seeing appointed, a muzzle, station, or post. And so, you know, let's just think what happened to us in the past weeks. We've been muzzled on YouTube. So we're not able to be on there. And so here we go. That kind of goes around. A lot of people are being muzzled and being shut down and not allowed to speak or decree and declare things. And so that's another meaning for it. It's a standing place or a place or footing. Means to prick or to mark in some fashion or form. And that's exactly what's been going on. People have been pricked or marked in some fashion or form with the different things that you have the option to do or not do. And we'll leave it at that with that. This also means spotted or speckled, a shepherd or a herdsman, and means to be redundant or in excess or a leftover. Okay, so those are the different meanings that 154 has. Okay, and so the one I think is most important is father is the gatherer. People are being marked in some fashion or form, whether they were forced to or they chose to. They were marked. It means something punctured your skin, and I'm gonna let you fill in the dots. Okay, but something was punctured the skin, caused you to be marked in some sort of way. So that's what that means. And now let's go back into the rest of what this article says about this event. So the winning time has 2:22 in it, 2 minutes, 28 seconds, and 28 tenths is the time. So 2:28:28. So 2:22. We've got 2:22 in it. So we know God's talking to us because that's been the whole theme since 2020. It's been 2:22. Significant. And again, for recap for you, that means fire of God, means breakthrough, means wisdom, means blessing, and also means the Behor, which is the firstborn. So the firstborn. So God speaking to his firstborn. It's the Hall of Fame trainer, Ton Pletchard. It's his fourth time winning the Belmont. So the guy that trained this horse is his fourth time winning this event. Okay, the first time he won it was with Rags to Riches in 2007. He won it again with Palace Malice in 2013, and he won it with Taprit in 2017, and he won it this year with Mo Dongle. And so what's really interesting now is he trained 2 horses for this race, and his horses came in first and second. So he has a double win. So we've got a double. We've got a win-win. Okay, so this person trained 2 horses, and both of his horses have in the top 2 spots. So it's a double win. So again, God's still using the 2:22 for us again here. The person that owns the horse is Mike Ropel. And what's really interesting about Mike Ropel is I Googled him to find out he's a co-founder of Smart Water.
He is?
Smart Water, okay? Well, what is water? Water does what to you? It refreshes you, okay? And so, I'm sorry, it's vitamin water. It's vitamin water. So it does vitamin water. So he's also putting nutrition and nutrients in water. So something that is refreshing and nutritious is coming into the body. So something's refreshing. So this guy represents refreshing, okay? Now what's really interesting is he's from the I think he said Brooklyn is where he's from. In New York. He almost won the race in 2011 with his horse Stay Thirsty, which really makes sense why he called it Stay Thirsty, because he is a co-founder of Vitamin Water. He's been dreaming about winning this event for 40 years. Okay, so
yeah, 40. There's that number.
We got 40. That number 40. What happens at the end of 40? We go into the Promised Land after 40 years of Moses being in his own form of wilderness. He leads others into a 40-year wilderness, and so we have this 40 number showing 40 is the number of testing, So when he passed the test, and so for 40 years he's had this dream of winning this event because it's the New York race. It means a lot to him. There was only 8 horses in the race, so that tells us there's a new beginning. So this is symbolizing a new beginning. The first one had 20. Which means the palm or the hand. So it shows that God's working and doing something in the first race, the Kentucky Derby. The last race, the Preakness, had 9 horses, 9 representing Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit's revealing and showing us something in some fashion or form through that race. And in this race is the number 8 for 8 horses, and God is showing us that something new is about to happen. There's a shift. We have someone who waited for 40 years. They waited for 40 years in the wilderness, and then there was a shift. They went into the land, they occupied, they possessed. And so God is showing us through these events what's happening and how it's going to affect us if we have eyes to see and ears to hear. So what's really interesting is Dongle, the name of the horse, okay, not the Mopar, but the Dongles, actually means fortress of the foreigner.
Fortress and what?
Of the foreigner. So an outsider is his fortress, okay?
Yeah.
All right, so now if you look at the race, We the People was winning the race until like the last turn, okay? Was winning the race. We the People were winning, and then the fortress, the fortress of the foreigner won.
So what's that telling us?
Okay, I think that's showing us what happened. Okay, now this fortress of the foreigner is referring to Vikings.
Vikings.
So they're basically the land version of pirates. Okay.
Pirate. Oh, so the pirates took it.
So basically, they would roll up on their boats, and they would come over and pillage and take over territory. Okay, and so that's basically what happened with events in 2020. Okay, but at the same time, we the people live here on earth, and who do we treat as a foreigner? We treat God as a foreigner. So the fortress of the foreigner. So God is showing that He is still the one in control on His fortress. If we look at the tabernacle, in the story we read about, we talk about the tabernacle starting to move. Well, that was the fortress of the one who's foreign to this earth, because they're not respecting Him or honoring Him the way they're supposed to. So it can be looked at both ways. Okay, so we have that aspect of it. Then a little bit more interesting is the winner of this race, the jockey, is Irad Ortiz. Now, we've heard the name Ortiz before because his brother is who won the last race with early voting. Jose Ortiz, which means Joe won with early voting in the previous race, okay? And that is a play on words and exactly what happened. Joe won with early voting, okay? Now we have Irad Ortiz. Now, Irad's a biblical name. Irad is the son of Enoch, who was the son who fathered, I can't remember his name, this is something other, who fathered Methuselah, who fathered Lamech, who fathered Noah, as in the days of Noah. And so here we have the names, everything's lining back up and showing us what's going on here with these names.
Coming.
Jesus is coming, as it was in the days of Lot and the days of Noah. So it will be back when the Son of Man comes. And so here we are having the stories being told here, just in the names of the people that are doing the race. Now, this particular jockey is a very well-known and very famous jockey. He's 29 years old. He's Puerto Rican. He's from the Empire State. He won the Belmont Stakes in 2016 with the horse called Creator. So Irad rode Creator to a victory in 2016, which is the exact same time when Trump won the election. Okay, and so Creator's in job and showing and pushing everything through. It's all lining up. What he's saying, he's a 3-time Eclipse Award winner, receiving the honor in 2018, 2019, and 2020. So 3-time winner. Okay, is this jockey. He won the and so there's that aspect of it. And none of the horses that competed ran in all 3 races this year. So there's the triple crown. None of the horses that won, or any horses, ran in all 3, not in all the races. So that's interesting. And also the horse that won was the one projected to win, Mo Mungle. So that's kind of the outline for the story there. So, and Rich Strike was in this race. Rich Strike started out dead last, but finished in 6th. Okay, so Rich Strike. So Rich Strike won the Kentucky Derby. God's saying he's going to, and rich strike means there's a, his people are going to strike it rich, okay? And so he comes in sixth, the number of man. So he's saying, I'm still with man, and they're still going to strike it rich. I'm still going to give the wealth of the wicked to the righteous, even though they didn't win the race. His position's important to where he came in.
Sixth place. You know, a lot of people maybe don't understand, but God talks through these events to us. And every one of the 3 races, the Triple Crown, every one of those, God was telling us something.
Telling us a story.
And yesterday I was on with Bill Coing, and he said about dividing Israel. And there's hurricanes that come along with dividing Israel.
Every time.
Every time. And guess what the hurricane was with the Abrahamic Accord? Sally, which is Sarah, who's Abraham's wife.
Sarah.
Yeah. And that hurricane came. So it's really important that you learn these. I love when you do that, because it really shows God talking to us through all these events. He's in these things.
He is.
And for that to come in number 6, the number of man, it's not just by chance.
And then we the people came in 4th. 4 always represents a door. So we the people are the doorway for all these things that take place. So we the people have to stand up. We the people have to begin to decree and declare. We the people have to show up and vote. And I'd like to just say, we had our primaries here in South Carolina, and horrible turnout. Horrible turnout across the board. South Carolina, we should be ashamed of ourselves for not showing. You say you desire change, you say you'd like to see things shift, but when you don't show up to put the people in who can make a difference, it starts at the primary. You got to get the right one in first, then you go to the main event. But you got to get the right horse in the race. I mean, it's exactly what they do. They got the right horses in the race to go and do what they had to do, and then they got a winner. But when you don't show up to get the horse in the race, you have no right to complain.
No.
When they start making mandates and they start bringing these things back that are worse than they were before, you didn't show up. It's your fault. We the people have to rise up and do what we're called to do, and we're called to let our voices be heard. And of all the nations in the world, we are the one place that has that right more than any other place, because our Constitution gives it to us. So when you get an opportunity to vote, you show up and you vote.
Yeah, very important. You talked about the door, and I think of 2 doors in the word, well, 3. When God shut the door in Noah, when the animals in, God shut the door. Nobody could get in. And then in Revelations 4, it says, I looked up, and behold, the door was standing open for people to come in. And that was the rapture. And then he says, I stand at the door and knock. So I just, little points about the door I thought were
just
interesting.
very simple. On the 4th day is when God created the sun, the moon, and the stars. Okay, the number 4. Times of seasons deal with the number 4. There's 4 seasons, there's 4 directions, north, south, east, west. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, the sun that was used to usher in the king was the 4th son, Judah. He's the doorway. And he had to be the 4th son because Jesus says, I am the door.
Yeah.
Through Judah, through King David, through me, I am the door. And no one comes to the Father except through me.
Yeah.
He's the doorway. And so we the people represent number 4. We usher in his presence, and we have to be a door that's open and allowing him to do what he says to do. But we have to show up. We have to show up.
Yeah.
And if you don't show up to vote, you don't have a right to complain.